This is the 20 Minutes of Influence podcast with your host, Greg Jameson. Influencer marketing is the process of identifying, researching, engaging, and supporting the people who create high-impact conversations with your customers. On each episode, I talk with industry leaders, business rock stars, and internet celebrities who contribute their knowledge about influencing others and growing your influence. Alrighty. Welcome to the 20 Minutes of Influence podcast. I'm your host, Greg Jameson, and I have a special guest with me today. If you are watching this, my guest is actually pushing this out onto Facebook Live, but my guest here is Albert Corey. Albert and I just met through a mutual friend, Angel Tusi, so maybe we'll flag Angel in your Facebook Live there so that she knows that we're doing this. But Albert...
And I will tag her, by the way.
What's that?
And I will tag her, so she'll know we're here.
Okay. Albert is the business profit activator, and he has figured out ways that as small businesses, we can create a pandemic-proof business. And that's really what we want to talk about here today. So, Albert, why don't you tell people a little bit more about yourself? And
Absolutely. First of all, thank you, Greg, for having me on your show. It's a pleasure. My name is Albert Corey, but the world knows me as the tax man. You see, for almost 4 decades, I've assisted almost 16,000 business owners to increase their profits through simple and marketing and accounting systems to achieve their dreams. So I'm out right now. I'm out every day showing people it doesn't matter whether pandemic, it doesn't matter what time is, we all can get out there and we can all build a business, good times, bad times, because as long as you got a cell phone, you can always rock and roll.
yeah, and certainly I agree with that in terms of the kind of business I run, which has always been online types of business. But I think that there are businesses that truly have been impacted by the fact that they are physical businesses. They are local businesses that require, restaurants coming in and people sitting down, that for many periods of time during this pandemic, they simply have not been allowed to do that. Other businesses, I've got businesses that I work with that are in resort towns, for example, and they rely on people coming to those resort towns and really experiencing what it is that they have to offer. So how are we going to create a pandemic-proof business when we have these kind of constraints?
I can tell you, first of all, on the travel industry, that's kind of hard to break, because I see that here. I'm in Miami, and I saw a lot of my clients who work kind of hotel based and what I'm going to call entertainment based. They're having a hard time because people are scared to travel. But for everybody else, for all these restaurants, they should figure it out how to do takeout. What a cool, because people, Greg, people still had to eat, right? So you better figure out how to drive people in. I heard a statistic that Uber Eats and DoorDash or whatever, they're up 50%. So there is restaurants out there. For everybody who is brick and mortar, you just have to adapt and change. Now, I understand the travel industry, because like I said, Miami Beach is really getting whacked because nobody's traveling. But for the other 85% of the industries, entertainment got hit, but other than the entertainment, I think everybody can get stuff going.
Yeah, and I certainly agree that, the biggest thing is you have to figure out how can you do things that you're good at, but do them in a slightly different manner in order to get in front of people.
Right. And I've always used, my favorite thing, Greg, is I came up with the word education marketing. I've been using this system for about 5 years, 4 or 5 years, since Facebook video came out. So whenever Facebook video came out, I've been using education marketing. And what that is, guys, you got to go out and educate the world. Okay. It doesn't matter whether you're offline, online, raking grass. If you're an online, since Greg, you deal with online people, right? That's your primary business.
Right.
Is guess what? You got to go out and educate the world and say how cool your product is. Go out and give the benefits and features. Find out how maybe this pen can change your life. What are these features of the pen? And educate them how you're important. And what does this really do, Greg? Since most of the world isn't going to go educate in the world, you're going to start standing out. And I can tell you stories and stories how, actually the one couple of cool, you mind if I tell you a cool story, how I blew up even more this year?
Please.
The two biggest ones, I was real big. I'm still in the Grant Cardone 10X community, you know, always posting videos on how to save money on your tax returns, how to open up corporations, you know, all kinds of tax, anything in the business space. Next thing you know, guess what happens? Wonderful Corona-19 hits. 95% of the tax offices in America were closed. I wasn't. And then I'm now getting people from Colorado. I'm getting people from New Jersey, people from California, in states that are locked down and the accountants never went there. But they all remembered me, Greg. Why? Because for years, anybody follows me, Albert Corey, I'm out there doing education marketing. I'm showing people the tips and tricks. So Greg, who do you think they went to when in New York, in Colorado, when they couldn't go to their accountant? Who did they come to when they got stuck? Me.
I'm assuming you, yeah.
Yeah. You know, and another cool one was that happened a couple of years ago, and I still got them 4 years now, 3 years, 4 years, where every day I come on, I do a video, Facebook Live. And Greg, what's the cost to do a Facebook Live, by the way? Zero. Thank you. So I'm out there doing a Facebook Live, and then the next thing you know, somebody comes on from Melbourne, Australia. Now, I don't know about you, Greg. I don't know how good you did in geography, but the last thing I know, I live in Miami, Florida, and Melbourne, Australia is 15,000 miles away. Well, my in-laws live in Sydney, so I flew that many a time. So he comes on through Facebook Messenger. By the way, what does Facebook Messenger cost, Greg, to talk to people? Zero, correct? And the next thing you know, I'm helping him. And he goes, but, you know, but do you mind helping my neighbor who has property and has questions? And what do you think I said, Mr. Greg? Of course. 3 years later, they're still my clients, and I do a lot of people in Melbourne who have property in the States. But that happens to me all the time because I'm out there and doing my education marketing. Now, how does this relate to the online businesses? Guys, no matter what you sell on Amazon, go start educating. Tell the world the features, how your stuff is so good. Educate them so you become the expert, and now you're going to be the go-to person to whatever you need.
Yeah, you know, what you're saying there, one of the things that I find really interesting is that I've been helping businesses try to sell their goods and services online pretty much since the beginning of the internet. And I've gone through and have told people to do all of the same things that everybody else does. You know, you need to write a blog, you need to, nowadays you need to have a podcast, you need to be posting on social media. You've got people out there like Gary Vaynerchuk telling people that they need to be posting 5 and 6 times a day on all their social media channels. Well, if you've got 5 social media channels and you're posting 5 or 6 times a day, you're not getting any work done. So
I can tell you how to solve that though, Greg.
well, but before we get to that, what I figured out is that small business owners, they are running their business and they don't have the time to be writing these blog posts and doing these podcasts and doing all these social media posts and so forth. And they simply aren't going to do it. So I came up with what I called a one-page marketing plan. And the basis of this marketing plan is to do exactly what you were saying there with Facebook Lives. And that is once a week, anybody can do this once a week, do a Facebook Live for 5 minutes, telling people about your product of the week. Show them, do a demo of the product or whatever. If it's your pen, show them the pen. Show them how you can take the thing apart, how you can do whatever it is with the pen. But do a simple 5-minute Facebook Live. So you're only doing marketing 5 minutes a week with that. The Facebook Live becomes a standard Facebook video at the end. So you now have it out there on your page where it can do all of these things for people. You're not trying to sell the pen. You're trying to show people your expertise about that pen. And now you can repurpose that video onto YouTube. You can repurpose it onto your website and everything else.
Yep. And I was going to tell you what I learned through education marketing. You do the Facebook Live on your cell phone. I'm going to give you the tool. Simply do it on your phone. And then if you have an iPhone, it's called InShot, InShot Movan. And guess what? You click a button, Greg, and guess what happens? Mysteriously, boom, it goes to all your channels. What a concept. I call it 30 minutes a day marketing will build your business. For the time, I don't know about you, did you ever go to Starbucks or McDonald's this week and get coffee or anything like that? Well,
I didn't, it snowed.
Oh, okay, you're in Colorado. For all of us in warm states, how's that? There's programs that are like next to nothing where you can click a button that and then it can go anywhere you want. One time, click a button on InShot and it's going to go to YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, those 3 channels in one button. LinkedIn, you have to log in, but it doesn't matter. It's there, one button, and it's there.
Yeah, we do a similar type of thing with people when they do create blog articles. That what they do is they write a single blog post, and as soon as they write the blog post, it automatically generates a newsletter and sends it out to their email, and it automatically sends it out to all their social media channels. So they aren't having to go out there and do this stuff on their own over and over again. It's called COPA, create once, publish COPE rather, create once, publish everywhere. And that's something that everybody really needs to be doing.
Right. And that's how I built my business. When I only have one office in the Miami, I don't know if you're in the Miami area, my friend, and we got clients in 37 states and 7 countries. All right, one office, because it's kind of like Grant Cardone and Gary Vee says, you got to be omnipresent. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer because people know who you are. And that's the name of the game. You got to go out there. Another thing is you just got to go. Success is a contact sport. Pass it on. What that means is, I know it's covert, but you got to start joining groups, and helping out other people in the groups, because the more people you help out, guess what? By osmosis, they might not be your client, Greg, but guessing, oh, I know Albert, he can help with my tax return. Or I know Angel, she can help you with all your media. Why? Because you're out there helping the next person. And then if they can't, you might not have what they need, but because you're going to, oh, my friend does this, or I know somebody who does that.
Yeah, I think that whole idea of really trying to serve a community of people is huge with your marketing. I know that, for example, I'm involved in a number of groups on both Facebook and LinkedIn, and I don't ever try to get anything out of that. I just give away information on those groups as much as I possibly can. And occasionally, as a result of that, people, I teach an online class, and one of the people in the online class right now came to me through one of those groups who's just like, I like what you're saying here. Can you teach me more?
Right. No, right. And that's the key. See, and another thing I'm a firm believer of, and is the power of free. You know, it's a word that most people don't want to do. It's like goes back to what education marketing and rule number one of Ninja Profit Secrets is the power of free. That means you're out there telling people, you know, what you do, education. Somebody asks a question, you're going to answer as much as you can. You know, and obviously if they really need your services, there might be a point where, you know, if it gets too detailed, hey, look, you know, you got to pay for the services, but you just keep people giving them as much free information as you can before you have to charge.
Okay. So this is the point in the podcast where we normally take a break because you're doing this live on Facebook here. I'm going to go ahead and blow right through it. We'll put in a break here when we put the podcast up to go out to the world. But you're talking about free here. So as you're talking about free, how do you make a living in a society where everything is free?
Okay, I've done that and I made thousands of dollars. I made YouTube videos. Follow me on Facebook. I just did one right now, how you can open up a corporation, how to do it in any state without paying anybody anything. But here's the thing, Greg, 98% of the people, and at the end, if you haven't, like I post in my education marketing, I do my videos every day. And I always say, if you have any questions or problems, please give me a call. Well, there's going to be a point where people are going to get stuck. And when they get stuck, they're going to call you. I mean, I made over $6,000 out of one YouTube video that tells people step by step on how to open up a corporation in the state of Florida, other than putting your credit card. And you know how I made the money, Greg? Because there's going to be a point where people say, well, what's a registered agent? How do I do it? Oh, I don't want to be bothered. Next thing you know, oh, can you do it for me? After talking to them. Oh, yeah, but the power of free will get you the leads, you know, and then eventually people are going to get stuck. And listen, when they come off of my YouTube questions, I'll be the first one to tell you. I'll talk to them for about 30, 40 minutes. And then I'll say, hey, look, if you have any questions, you know, if you want to get started, I can get it done for you faster. You know, you could struggle yourself or I can take care of it for you, whatever you want. And some of them will say yes and some of them will say no. But statistically, you know, you're going to get a 30% turnaround. But the trick is, though, Greg, how much is it costing you for that lead? Zero.
Well, it cost your time.
Well, guess what? But in the world of entrepreneur, it still costs money to get a lead. So if I'm talking to you and I talk to you for 30 minutes, even though I get probably $200 an hour, but if I was to run a Facebook ad for highly, you know, really keyed or Google ads, what would that cost me? So it comes out to the same. It's no worse your time. Anybody who tells me that, Greg, it's no worse than the amount of money you would spend to buy an ad on Google Ads or Yelp or, you understand, or any other ad platform.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. In fact, I teach an online course where I show people how to build and maintain their own e-commerce website. Well,
Right.
I make a living by building and maintaining e-commerce websites. I teach this course where I show people exactly how to do everything themselves. And they'll go through the course with me and they'll learn how to do it. And they've got a good understanding at the end, but they'll still come back even after they've paid to be in this course and know how to do it themselves. They'll still come back to me and say, I don't want to do this myself.
Do it.
Will you do it for me?
Right. Hey, yeah, Mr. Greg, hey, can you help me do it? No, I get it.
So that, yeah, it absolutely happens that way. And quite honestly, it should. In some ways, it's like I was saying earlier about how an entrepreneur doesn't have time to do all of these things of writing blog posts every week and so forth. Well, if you don't have time to do it because you're busy cooking in your kitchen, because that's your business, then hire someone to do it. And
Well, that's right. I always say, work, and then I started listening to this book called The Who, Not How. But I've always even said that about work in your business, not on your business. So why would a baker, and you said baker, so I'm just throwing this out. Why would a baker why would a baker want to go do his own QuickBooks? Because let's say you just mentioned time. Let's say he makes $100 an hour baking. His average is $100. Well, by paying us and to do his books, it's going to take him a while. But if you paid us $90 a month, you know how much time you saved? Sure, I'm making 90. I can afford to do 90 because I got somebody who does that all day and that's their job. So we make money and you can go do something else. That's what you just said.
Yep. Yeah, you should always hire somebody that, if they're going to save you money, you should always hire that position out rather than doing it yourself.
Here's the analogy I always say, Greg, and tell me this is true. You just had a heart attack, right? Are you going to go and cut the cord and put it to your heart and plug it in? No, you're going to call 911. What's your emergency? You're going to call somebody to get you off the floor, my friend. You're not going to go and cut a cord and plug it into the wall and shock yourself. Of course not. You're going to call 911. What's your emergency?
Okay, so let's kind of go back here to what we were talking about before about a COVID-proof business. What other tips and advice do you have to basically keep your doors open during a time of not just this pandemic, but all of the other situations we've got going on in our country, whether it be the fires in Colorado, the hurricanes in Florida, whatever it might be?
I think not only the two ways of success to me, pandemic proof your business is education, marketing, what we talked about, and success is a contact sport. Meaning that the more friends that you have, remember, we go back to what I just was talking about, the who. If you're in enough Facebook groups and you have enough friends, in these groups, that you're always going to find somebody who's going to give you the clue to take your stuff forward. You see, a lot of these people went out because they didn't, I'm not saying a lot, but there's a good percentage that they never bothered to be on Facebook to try to find somebody to say, well, there's a fire. What have I done? What should I have done before the fire? Why, what did they prepare in case worst case happened ever? So you got to always be looking for the who and in the right groups to get you prepared before, during, and after.
Yeah, there's no question that marketing today is all about who knows you.
Right.
Not about who you know, but who knows you.
Here's the analogy that I've been taught through about 3 or 4 people. I guess pizza is the number one thing. I'm sure around your house, Greg, in Colorado, there's a little local pizza joint, right? Probably the best pizza. But who sells more pizza every hour? Pizza Hut. They have the worst pizza, or Domino's. But, or hamburger. Hamburger is even a better example, where, McDonald's has the worst hamburgers probably ever, but everybody knows McDonald's around the world because everybody knows you. So it's not how good the quality is. I think the first thing people got to do is people got to know who you are. It's like the song, remember the movie Fame, Remember My Name. Because if people don't know who you are, you have the best product in the world, but they don't know you. McDonald's is the example. Pizza is the example. Of the 2 big items that's come into my mind. They all
Okay,
know who
so,
Pizza Hut is.
so as a small business that doesn't have huge pockets, how do we make it so that everybody does know us?
Okay. First thing to do, remember we said education marketing. Um, the second thing is you go out and success is a contact sport. You go out to find groups. You go back to old school marketing. You know, I mean, I understand the phone is here and I understand we're in the pandemic, but how did we meet? Because we met through other people. Go out and contact some people, go out and educate people, and then the next thing you know, your business is going to grow. People are going to know you.
Yep, and you have to keep doing it
And it's
over and
nonstop.
over again.
You
Yeah.
know, it's nonstop or you got to meet people. I mean, it's still like old school, right? Old school, you have to meet people.
Yep, I totally agree. It's you need to build your network by doing exactly what you're saying. So we're about out of time here. Before we quit for today, is there any kind of final words of advice that you would like to leave our listeners?
Guys, we are now in our best time ever. There's more millionaires and billionaires being made, and it's being made every minute of every day. See, don't quit. Even if you're in a Colorado fire, and I have one of my friends that we know, but guess what? Um, I mean, I hate to say this, but you just got to start. You just got to find people again, and you'll make it. And even doing covert, guess what? If you got to see, even these businesses that got burned down, Greg, even these businesses got big down. You know what they didn't take, Mr. Greg? They didn't take your mind. They might burn away all your business, but you still got your mind. You still got your health that I can open up tomorrow. Right? You're still a plumber. You still know how to fix plumbing. Doesn't matter. Tomorrow you get over the grief and you start fixing plumbing again. You can't keep grieving. You can't keep whining. I mean, I'm not saying Corona's bad. I'm not saying the fire is bad. But, okay, you get sad, get over it, and start figuring out your next move to come back because you still got here.
Yep.
And that's what still matters is your mind. And nobody took our minds away yet.
Good thing.
Right.
So how can people stay in touch with you, Albert?
First of all, Greg, thank you for having me on your show. Would you be mind if I give your guests some awesome free gifts? You like the word free gift?
Let's hear it.
Guess what? Okay, if you text the word taxman, that's TAXMAN to 26786, I'm going to give you my copy of my 100 top business deductions that save my clients millions of dollars. I mean, we've been doing account for almost 40 years. You're also going to get a copy of my book, The Art of Perception, which is the simple how I built my office from basically college graduate, couldn't get a job working in his parents' motel, to making 7 figures consistently and on the power routine. And I'm even going to give you a third bonus where I'm an Amazon bestseller, where you're going to get a preview copy of the 150 habits from entrepreneur success, where if you read just one habit and one habit a day, it will take you all year. And I'll guarantee you just one habit just one out of those 150 habits will take you to the next level. All you got to do is text Taxman to 26786. That's Taxman to 26786.
Sounds great. And I will make sure that gets in the show notes as well. I really appreciate you being on the show here today, Albert, and I'm sure our listeners got a ton out of it. So,
by the way, Greg, since you're on our Facebook Live, sharing is always caring, my friend. Since I want to love you and thank you for having me on, please tell my community how they can get a hold of you.
Absolutely. For those that didn't catch it at the beginning, my name is Greg Jameson, and I run a online business where I help other people sell their products and services online. It's called Web Stores Limited. It's just webstoresltd.com. And if you go there, you can get a hold of me easily that way. Pretty much everywhere I'm at Web Stores or at Greg Jameson, but just visit my website, webstoresltd.com.
Okay, Greg, thank you. It was a pleasure for allowing me having on the show.
Thank you, Albert. Great meeting you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of 20 Minutes of Influence. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please leave a review on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you are interested in booking myself as a speaker at one of your events or are interested in any of my coaching programs, please visit gregjameson.com.